Let's have a bit of a listen to Paddy Gower and Mike Hosking.
Actual economic thinking has been crucial.
What's your view of the role of Melissa Lee and the Broadcasting Minister and the government in general? Are they in the business of saving media or helping media?
It's got to be one part of their role. Look, I actually haven't really seen anything that they've done, to be honest. I haven't seen anything they've done. But at the same time, the media doesn't need a bailout. So if anyone's talking about some sort of cash bailout, we don't need that. The media does need to be able to survive commercially. There are ways that we can do that. Look, I'm talking to a successful radio host on a commercially successful program right now. It can be done.
He talked to Karen Plunkett this morning as well, and there was a little bit of the, look how well you're doing. I was a bit like, ugh. Someone might be, no offence, but it sounds like someone might be putting a few feelers out there to maybe get some more work. Fair enough too, I guess.
In New Zealand, we shouldn't look to the government to rely on them to sort of bail us out. But in terms of that, there are massive structural problems out there that I just don't think the government's got their head around. Paying these courtier fees, television companies paying fees to another government organisation for something that we don't really need anymore is just plain nuts. It is crazy. That is literally jobs going out the door every time they pay those fees. But the government doesn't seem to want to do it. And I say that, it's not just this government, it's the last one as well, mate. They've actually been pretty useless.
What happens to a show like yours, for example, that I think had New Zealand On Air funding, correct me if I'm wrong, if that's still available, don't you get to turn up somewhere?
Paddy Gower has issues. The show that I did last year didn't have New Zealand On Air funding. That's gone at the stage.
So if you've got New Zealand On Air funding, are Television 3 in the business of still showing those sort of programs?
Yeah, if I can get them for, say, for instance, my Patrick Gower on documentaries, which is slightly different to my show last year, yes, that is the way that you can get a show on TV3. So that's the answer. They want fully funded shows. That's the way to get back on there. But there's got to be other ways to do television programs than that, Mike. We've got to find commercially successful ways of.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I'm not quite sure what the angle Paddy's got, because there isn't a way to have commercially successful television shows in New Zealand like that. There's just not what he's talking about, not on TV3. There's nothing, there are no, like, unless you are the network, unless you are 3, there would be no show shown on 3 or on TVNZ that hasn't got some kind of funding externally that's not commercial. NZ On Air, that sort of thing. Or like I don't know, I'm thinking about like a charitable outreach that does some funding for it. So unless you are the company, unless you are TVNZ making TVNZ product or TV3 making TV3 product, any other production house making a show to show on those channels would have some kind of funding. I mean, I could be proven wrong that there's one or two that aren't, but basically it says to me that's what they are. I knew the guys who ran... what was it called? It was like the DIY, New Zealand DIY channel. It used to be on like channel 13 or something. I can't remember what it's called right now. But it had lots of those DIY fix-it shows and that kind of stuff. And they used to be able to do it because they would just sell the hell out of the show. If they were building a house, you'd see all of the equipment getting used, the DeWalt drills, DeWalt will be paying for that. The insulation, but they'd be paying for that. So there was basically a big advert for the products that they were using on the renovation shows.
Like the Block.
Yeah.
The Block is a rolling ad for so many things. Like they have tied-in sponsorship on tied-in sponsorship. You can't have an in-between break between, the segment in between paid advertisements is a paid advertisement.
Yeah.
The money is there for you to see. If you want to do a local drama, though, you're shit out of luck.
Yeah, and
if you want to investigate the company that is funding a lot of this, let's say Mitre 10 was super fucking dodgy, but the main sponsor of the Block. Do you think that TV3 would want to let Paddy Gower off the chain to go after them? No fucking way.
The other thing is the way you do it non-commercially is what we're doing. The way you do it non-commercially is not to walk into a building, as I've said half a dozen times before, like me and Chewy did to MediaWorks probably last year, HOA. And there's a foyer that would cost $200,000 to build, $100,000, whatever. 6 figures to build just the foyer that they're in there. That's the way you do it. The other thing I noticed too, and I don't have any news on this yet, but we'll keep looking, is I did notice headlines this evening, them talking about Shortland Street is in danger now as well. Shortland Street is in danger. In fact, I saw someone kind of laughing online saying Chris Warner has finally run out of female co-stars to sleep with. Not in real life, like as part of the storyline. And yeah, so even there's some, I don't know the details, but there's some stories going around at the moment that even that might be in a bit of trouble. Which has been a bastion of New Zealand broadcasting for 30 years, 30 years.
Yeah. And employs so many people. Like this sort of stuff will take a huge hit out of this industry and our film industry and that sort of thing. Because, you can't just sit and wait for the next Lord of the Rings to happen. You work in TV. You work in a consistent job. And it's just gone. Like, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's play some more of our best mate, Mike Hosking.
Doing the stuff where things get paid for by advertisers again. We've got to find a way back to that.
What do you say to the people who text this program, and there is a lot of them, you go woke, you go broke? They bribed you with their $55 million, you sucked up to the Labor government, you deserve everything you get.
Well, I tell them pretty much this, mate, get stuffed. And actually go away and, to use a term they use, do your own research. Yes, there was some money flicked around by the government. I think most people would agree now that had a branding problem for all of us. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and listen to sort of people like that say that kind of thing after I've slaved my bloody guts out alongside my colleagues for 25 years in my case, putting damn good news out there. So while we've got a trust problem, we need to address it and explain things that we're doing properly. When it comes to the sort of Facebook keyboard warriors, I ain't got no time for them, Mike. I'm about the 250 people who lost a job yesterday and actually the millions of other Kiwis that I know that trust me and trust my colleagues.
All right.
Pretty strong finish. He stuck the landing, you might say there, Chewy.
I would have been gone harder than that, to be honest.
I know. These guys,
it's Mike, it's more of a reflection of the toxic gang of giggle fucks that listen to this show.
Mike, what I'd say to them is go fuck yourselves. And of course, it's such nonsense. It's such nonsense because, like I pointed out before, Taylor Swift has just become a billionaire off this tour, being the wokest person in the world. Reality Check Radio falls over, being the anti-woke place. It's just people assign that to things that fail, that happen to not align with their views. Sean Plunkett said it in an interview I did with him. Woke means anything I disagree with. That's what he thinks it is, Chewy.